Your AI agent works perfectly in the sandbox. In production, it hallucinates on your own company's data. The model isn't broken though, the context is missing. Here's why that's an infrastructure problem, not a model problem. If you've tried deploying conversational analytics, you've probably discovered this the hard way. The agent doesn't know that customer means different things to sales and support. It can't tell which revenue table is actually used for reporting. It hallucinates answers because it's missing the context that lives in Slack threads, dashboards, and people's heads. Let's fix that. A context layer is the system that sits between your data infrastructure and your AI, giving models the business meaning, relationships, and guardrails they need to reason accurately about your data. Think of it this way: your warehouse stores the data, your BI tools visualize it, your context layer explains what it means. Without a context layer, an LLM sees a table called dim customers as just that, the columns like account ID, segment, and LTV. With a context layer, it understands it. It understands this is our source of truth for customer data. Segment is our B2B versus B2C classification. LTV is calculated as the sum of contract value over 24 months. Marketing uses this for campaigns, finance uses it for forecasting. Enterprises are building dozens of AI agents across departments. Finance wants an AI analyst for revenue metrics. Support wants an agent for incident analysis. Product wants automated insights on user behavior. Without a shared context layer, each team builds context from scratch. They manually map semantics. They define customer and revenue independently. They create one-off solutions that don't talk to each other. The result? 5 different definitions of win rate. No central governance. Agents that can't collaborate because they don't share a language. A context layer changes this. It becomes the shared infrastructure that all agents query, ensuring consistent semantics, governed access, and reusable knowledge across use cases. A production grade context layer needs 3 things. First, the data context, or the why. This is the foundation. Metadata about your tables, columns, dashboards, and models. What tables exist? What do the columns contain? Where does this data come from? Who owns it? How fresh is it? The second is the semantic context, or the meaning. This is where tribal knowledge becomes machine readable. Business definitions, relationships between concepts, and domain-specific rules. This layer is what lets an AI understand that when marketing asks for top customers, they mean by revenue. But when finance asks the same question, they mean by lifetime value. Finally, there is the governance context, the control. This is where you classify and protect the sensitive stuff. Instead of trying to govern every AI agent directly, you govern the context they can see. You capture which assets are confidential or regulated, who can update key definitions, and what needs a steward's approval before it changes. Governance workflows ensure the people with tribal knowledge are the ones shaping the context layer, so the right classifications, meanings, and tags flow to every downstream agent and application. This is how you go from AI that works in a demo to AI that leadership trusts with real decisions. Now, a quick clarification because these terms tend to get confused. A semantic layer like dbt semantic layer or cube defines metrics for BI and reporting. It answers, how do we calculate revenue across dashboards? A context layer is broader. It includes semantic definitions, but also adds cross-system lineage and relationships, governance policies and access control, natural language understanding for AI, and active metadata that updates as your stack changes. Think of it this way: semantic layers optimize BI, context layers power AI. Some teams ask, should we build this ourselves? Here's the reality check. A production context layer needs integrations to tons of data sources, automated metadata extraction and lineage mapping, a metadata lakehouse to store and query context at scale, Semantic modeling in simulation tools, policy engines that sync to your actual access controls, APIs, MCPs, and SDKs for AI systems to query context, and continuous updates as your stack evolves. Building this is an 18-month engineering project with at least 5 full-time engineers. Most teams that try end up with brittle, incomplete systems that become legacy tech debt. That's why enterprises use platforms like Atlan. They get a production-grade context layer in weeks, not years. Here's the question we hear right after teams decide to buy. Who actually builds this thing? A new role is emerging at the intersection of data engineering and AI, the context engineer. This isn't a title you'll find in most org charts yet, but the work is already happening, usually owned by a senior data engineer or platform lead who's also the de facto AI enablement person on the team. The context engineer's job is to bring the context layer to life. That means they need to work to connect data sources and automate metadata ingestion, build and maintain the semantic layer, translating business definitions into machine-readable context, and classify and tag critical assets to restrict AI agents from using confidential data. And all of this only works in production when it sits on top of a metadata lakehouse. Without that, your APIs and SDKs can't keep up once you have dozens of agents and applications querying context in parallel. That's the gap most tools miss, and it's exactly what the metadata lakehouse solves for. Now, this is the person who ultimately determines whether AI initiatives get stuck in a pilot or crosses into production. And with a platform like Atlan, they're not starting from scratch. They're activating infrastructure that already understands your stack. Most enterprises are stuck in what we call the AI value chasm, the gap between pilots that work and production systems that scale. Pilots work because you manually curate context for a narrow use case. Production fails because that context doesn't scale. Different agents have different definitions. No one can explain why the AI recommended something. And risk teams block rollouts because governance is undefined. A context layer is how you cross that chasm. It turns one-off AI experiments into shared infrastructure, where agents align on definitions, policies govern access, and every decision is traceable. If you're evaluating context layers, here's what to look for. 1. Cross-system coverage. Does it unify metadata from your warehouse, BI tools, notebooks, and catalogs? 2. Active metadata. Does it automatically detect schema changes, usage patterns, and quality issues, or do you have to manually update it? 3rd, AI native semantics. Can it generate semantic models from your existing BI dashboards and glossaries, not just store static definitions? 4. Governance integration. Does it enforce policies in your actual access controls or just document them? Finally, developer friendly. Can your AI systems query context via APIs, SDKs, or MCPs at scale, or is it a black box? The teams getting AI into production aren't just building better models. They're building better infrastructure for context. If you're building AI agents and running into accuracy or governance issues, the problem might not be your model. It might be missing context. We built Atlan as the context and control layer for AI systems. It connects your warehouse, your BI tools, your glossary, and your governance policies into one active metadata platform that AI can actually reason with. Next up, we'll show you how to build your first semantic model for an AI agent in Atlan's Context Studio.